Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would talk to you guys about the whole Robbie Williams situation, mental health, some of the negative and just ignorant stuff that I see people posting online. Now some of you are going, Jason, why are you covering this? Well, because it is a fitness related video, because your mental fitness, your mental health affects your physical health. The two go hand in hand to a large extent. And as you guys know, I've discussed in the past my own previous struggles in my life with anger management, my own struggles with depression. I've mentioned once before in a video that I was at a point in my life where I had a barrel of a gun in my own mouth and I made the choice to not pull the trigger. And that weight training and intense training and exercise can be therapeutic. These are things that can help you with anger management. These are things that can help you with your depression. Now, they may not cure it on their own, but they are tools available to help you with these things. And one of the things that frustrates me is the amount of ignorance that people have towards mental health and the shaming. And when I see people online, and even worse, someone on a major news network made the statement that suicide is cowardly as a result of this Robbie Williams thing, or people say that it's selfish. And when you look at the suicide rates of war veterans, people who have faced battle, they have faced death on the battlefield and walked away, who still succumbed to clinical depression and have committed suicide. You look at the current war veterans in the U.S. today coming back from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Look at the suicide rates. You're essentially saying that these men who faced death in combat bravely and walked away are cowards. And that is a profoundly ignorant statement. Even strong, brave people kill themselves. They can still succumb to clinical depression if they don't seek the help that they need. It isn't just a poor problem. Rich, famous people who have everything still succumb to clinical depression. And if they get hooked on drugs of some type, it's even worse. And we've seen it over and over and over again. Every one of you, this is Robbie Williams, the first one of these. In fact, if you live long enough like I have, you're going to see a lot of people that you are inspired by, you enjoy their work, they've changed your life in some way with their music or their art or their acting, will kill themselves in your lifetime. My first experience with that growing up was with Kurt Cobain. I was a big Nirvana fan in high school, and he killed himself when I was in high school. And that was my first experience with that. And you have someone like Robbie Williams who had millions. He's made so many movies that he is filthy rich. He is adored. Robbie Williams isn't really hated by anyone. He's never done controversial movies for the most part. He's never had haters. He's never had people who dislike him. He spent his whole life as a comedian making people laugh, bringing joy to people's lives. He is loved and adored, and he's worth millions and millions. He has done at least 20 movies where he made millions off of each one of those movies. He had everything, killed himself. And then people make statements like, well, this is selfish. It's selfish. Well, you know what? Everything you do is selfish. I could argue that eating meat is selfish, and I do argue that. Using up the earth's resources if you don't want to be here is selfish. People do it. Most of us do it. You have to be selfish to survive. The very act of survival is selfish. People make it sound like being selfish is a bad thing, but you know what else is selfish? When you see someone that you care about in any way, whether it's a close friend, a family member, a partner, a loved one who you see struggling with depression, who you know isn't getting the help that they need, to never take the time to really talk to them about getting the help they need, to getting counseling, to getting therapy, at least calling a suicide hotline. If you do nothing and you never even bother, and then you wait till after they kill themselves to talk about how selfish they are, that's a pretty damn selfish action on your part. That's selfish. Because when people who have severe clinical depression do not get the help they need, one of the most common results is suicide. And I guess the point I want to make with this is that I would like to see more of this latter part being discussed online with the whole Robbie Williams situation, because this is a perfect chance to highlight that, to highlight the importance of mental health, the importance of, if you are suffering from depression, to get the help that you need. Talk to somebody, talk to a professional. There's actually even free counseling out there if you can't afford it. There are suicide hotlines. There are places you can call. And a lot of those places can refer you to affordable mental health. You might be able to get your insurance to cover it. You might be able to get your government to cover it. But the fact of the matter is, there is help available out there if you're struggling with these things. You do not have to let it get to the point to where you take your own life, because oftentimes those feelings that you have are not even really anything more than a chemical imbalance. Sometimes it is a chemical imbalance that's gone untreated, just a shift in the dopamine and serotonin in your brain that causes you to have those feelings of hopelessness, of worthlessness, that drive you to the point to where you want to take your own life. And sometimes a simple change in lifestyle, diet, and mindset can be enough to fix those. Other times it takes medications. But oftentimes these things can be cured. So guys, get the help that you need. If you're experiencing things, get the help you need. If you have someone in your life who you know is suffering with these things, but you just can't be bothered to suggest or try to push them in the direction to get the help that they need, don't sit around and wait until after they're dead for you to call them selfish. Because I've seen it firsthand. I have been to the funeral of a young suicide victim who took his own life at 22 years old. And I've seen the devastation it causes inside of a family firsthand. One of my closest friends, who I was close friends with several members of his family, I was at his funeral after he shot himself. And it was one of the most tragic things that I've seen. What he did was selfish. But by that same token, all the people who were just horribly upset and were calling him selfish, maybe, just maybe, one of them could have done a little more. Maybe he would have still been there. His parents were the only ones he knew who knew in the immediate family that he had just chosen to come off of his antidepressants, that he was coming off. And maybe they should have told other people in the family. Maybe other people should have stepped in and told him, you know, Dave, maybe you shouldn't come off these antidepressants. Instead, you should go discuss it with a therapist if they think you should come off. So maybe with a little more outside intervention, my friend Dave, a singer I loved, Kurt Cobain, and maybe Robbie Williams would still be here with us. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicephalus. And if that doesn't cure your depression, nothing will.